Good day and welcome to the channel. It's always beautiful to have you here. Today I start with a story. There was a village where they had they usually go to war in this particular village. This story was set during ancient times in ancient Japan. And then they had, this kind of schools where people go to learn martial arts. And there was this young guy, his name was Kai, Kai. So Kai was a young guy and he also joined the school, learned a lot of martial arts. Now, over a period of time, became very, very good. He became a swordsman that was very, very good. He was good at horse riding. He was good at martial arts. He was good in hand-to-hand combat, and he was also very good using the sword. And slowly, he rose through the ranks and was becoming a real champion in the school. And with time, he was even ready, to exit the school and become a warrior for the king's guards. Now, one particular morning, Kai came out, and went to, join his colleagues at the training ground and got a partner, an opponent who he was sparring with, and they were fighting. It was an intense sword battle. But after a while, Kai began to feel weakness. He began to feel weakness in every part of his body as he tried to raise the sword, to fight, to, attack his partner who he was sparring with. He found himself unable to do this. And as long as this was happening, he also began to feel a heaviness within his eyes. And with time, he had to give up and say no, he couldn't continue with the sparring. And with that, he found somewhere to rest. After a while, he decided to visit the healer in the village. He went to visit the healer in the village, and the healer looked him over and said, "Your body seems to be fighting itself. You need, good medical attention. I think you should visit a medical doctor." And so he went, into the town to see a medical doctor. When he got to the medical doctor and they ran some tests through him, by taking blood samples, they ran tests. They found out, they were able to diagnose that he has a condition we call myasthenia gravis. Has a condition called myasthenia gravis. So what's myasthenia gravis? Myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disorder. It's a disease of the immune system. And like we've said before, diseases of the immune system are autoimmune diseases are diseases of the immune system in which the immune system is fighting against itself. Now, this is a strange occurrence because the immune system is supposed to be providing protection for all the cells of the body against pathogens, against viruses, against bacteria, against parasites, against worms. So a situation where you now have those the immune system now fighting against the cells of the body, that is an autoimmune disease, and myasthenia gravis is one of such autoimmune diseases. And so, of course, this guy wanted to know more. That okay, so was asking the doctor, so what causes, what's happening exactly? Now the doctor had to explain to him that what is happening is that there is something called acetylcholine. Now, the way the nervous system of the human being is designed, we have nerve cells, and these nerve cells carry information from the brain to the spinal cord, from the spinal cord to all the other parts of the body, and information is carried back and forth. So you touch something that is hot, you feel the heat, you remove your hand because information, those nerve cells have carried the information of the very hot substance and has moved it through to your brain, and the brain has told the hand to take away itself from that hot object. So you have this information highway that is moving from the brain to the spinal cord to every part of the body, and it is communicating with outside. So when you have the doctor explained to this young man that myasthenia gravis is a situation where now this information pathway, we know that we have nerve cells. These nerve cells are designed in such a way that they don't touch. There's a junction between each of these nerve cells. This junction is what we call a synapse. So from nerve cell 1 to nerve cell 2, you have a junction, and the junction is called a synapse. Now, to move information from nerve 1 to nerve 2, you have what we refer to as a neurotransmitter. This neurotransmitter, so when information is flowing, whether it's flowing from the brain to the spinal cord to the muscles of the hand, when this information is coming, it goes through nerve 1. Now, to get to nerve 2, it has to cross that synapse, and that synapse is like a junction, like a space. And in order to cross that synapse, there is acetylcholine. Now, this acetylcholine is what we refer to as our neurotransmitter. So it transmits information, that information that is in nerve 1, at the end, it will transmit it to nerve 2, and then that's how the information keeps flowing. Now, in myasthenia gravis, you have a situation where, like I said before, it's an autoimmune disorder. So you have a situation where the cells of the immune system now begin to attack what we refer to as neuromuscular junctions. So you have junctions between the nerves and the muscles. So muscles for picking up our hands, for walking, for standing, for moving, for running, for sparring, like this sword fighter that we are discussing about. So when you now have a situation where the immune system begins to destroy all the muscular the muscular cells at the junction of neuromuscular at neuromuscular junctions, it becomes a problem. Why is it a problem? It's a problem because the information that is coming through the nerve cell, when it gets to that neuromuscular junction, that information is supposed to use acetylcholine to go to, through that synapse, through that junction, and give information to the muscle, telling the muscle to either leave a place or to do something. Now, because the linings of those neuromuscular junctions have been eroded, they've been destroyed, it is now difficult for that impulse to move from the nerve across the synapse to the muscle, and so information is not flowing. And when information doesn't flow, the person begins to feel weak. He's unable to raise his hand. He's unable to do all the activities that he's supposed to do, and that's what we refer to as myasthenia gravis. So you have also, as is eroding those junctions, you have what you call your acetylcholine receptors. So on that junction, both at the end of the muscle and at the end of the nerve, you have those receptors. And when you talk about receptors, they are like little plugs where you want your acetylcholine to plug itself into, and then so that it can send that information apart. So when you have the eroding of these receptors at this junction, it makes it difficult for the information to flow through. And this is what we have in myasthenia gravis. Some of the symptoms that we see in myasthenia gravis are symptoms such as ptosis, PTOSIS, which is drooping eyes. The eyes will be drooping. You also have diplopia, which is double vision. So the person won't be able to see well. His vision will be double, and it will be difficult. You have general weakness of arms and legs. It is difficult for the person to carry out the activities in the arms and legs which the person should carry out. Now, diagnosis is usually through different types of neurological examination. So such an individual will have to see a neurologist, a doctor who is a specialist in the nervous system, who would now look through, run different tests to look at how well the nervous system is functioning. And from there, he could be able to diagnose. Also, a blood test is possible. You can run different types of blood tests. And most of these autoimmune diseases, when you run the blood tests, you are looking for the presence of antibody antigen complexes in those blood tests, because those are indicators that that person is suffering from an autoimmune disease. Sometimes there may be a need for a CT scan, computer tomography scan. There may be a need for an MRI scan, all of these different kinds of scans. There may be a need for an ultrasound, all of these different kinds of tests. And the treatment include that there may be the need to use different kinds of medications, corticosteroids, immunosuppressants, and different types of medications can be used which can help to alleviate these sufferings. So myasthenia gravis, like I've discussed, is an autoimmune disease, and it leads to general muscle weakness, and it occurs when there is the destruction of acetylcholine receptors that are present at the junctions, neuromuscular junctions. I hope you understood this It's beautiful having you here. Please like our content, share our content. We try to use stories to make these contents more understandable for each and every one of us. Thank you and have a wonderful day.